Thank you very much, Judge. Your Excellency Vice President Robredo, Angat Bayi Fellows and friends, magandang hapon, good afternoon, bonjour. I'm very happy to be here virtually with all of you today to participate in my first online Angat Bayi event since arriving here in the Philippines in February earlier this year. It has been an interesting few months to say the least. But I do remember in my first month here attending an important feminist event which involved the Vice President and Professor Natsi at a major event in celebration of women's empowerment. And I've been looking forward to today's gathering very much. As I've become acquainted with the Philippines, usually through online interactions such as this one, I have been very impressed by the number of strong, effective leaders that I've met who happen to be women in the government, in business, in academy, but also in my own embassy here. We are the 7th largest Canadian embassy in the world, and we are very much powered by the wisdom and the expertise and talent of our largely female workforce. This includes many leaders assembled today from the country's leading university, UP, from municipal and provincial governments around the country, and from Her Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic herself, who I gather is also a proud UP graduate. I should say that I'm very impressed to see UP rising in the Quality Asian University rankings. And I had the pleasure last month of attending an early morning convocation online of UP Diliman, and I was struck by the number of female academic leaders involved in that important ceremony online for the first time in history. Indeed, the Philippines is a world leader when it comes to participation by women in public life. I remember when I was first preparing to come here, I met the Filipino ambassador to Canada, Ambassador Garcia, who is a woman, and she showed me around the embassy, and I saw portraits of many heroes of the Philippine Revolution and liberation, and they happen to be women, including women military figures, and that early on very much impressed me. So there's a proud heritage to be defended and expanded upon, a very strong foundation of women participating in the modern development of this beautiful country. The high proportion of women in political positions in this country is certainly something that is of note to Canada and which we should also strive for. But of course, there's always room for improvement. Empowering women as decision makers and agents of change is a pillar of my government's feminist foreign and development policy. We believe strongly that advancing gender equality and inclusive governance is the best way to ensure that governments work for their citizens to ensure long-term, sustainable economic growth and development, better decisions, better outcomes for society. And I think the historical record, including the record of certain female leaders around the world, in New Zealand and Germany, for example, provide strong evidence in this regard. In Canada, since 2015, the Cabinet of Ministers appointed by Prime Minister Trudeau has been 50% female. I'm very happy to report that this week, Prime Minister Trudeau appointed the first ever female finance minister in our country's history. This is quite remarkable. The former Deputy Prime Minister, Foreign Minister, and Trade Minister, Chrystia Freeland, is now a finance minister, first time in our history. And I can also report that this year, Canada, for the first time, has 50% of its ambassadors and consuls general around the world are female. This is why the Government of Canada, through our Canada Fund at the Embassy, is pleased to be in our 3rd year of partnering with the University of the Philippines Center for Women and Gender Studies in support of the Angat Bayi Women's Political Empowerment Program. This program recognizes the value added of elected leaders, fellows, and mentors from across the country working very closely together to advance rights-based, democratic, and inclusive governance. Through sessions such as this one, best practices are being shared, strategies are being discussed, networks are being built, capable and empowered leaders are creating and sustaining change, real change. I'm pleased to learn that the program coordinators have ensured that this work can continue in the virtual space through this COVID pandemic. It is during times of crisis like this that it becomes even more clear that governments require strong, ethical, and inclusive leadership to make a positive difference, especially for the less advantaged in our society. Angat Bayi Fellows have demonstrated how an inclusive, consultative response to the COVID crisis can play an important role in ensuring that the needs of the community are met, that marginalized individuals are not left behind, and that informal workers and small businesses can continue to find and sustain themselves and their families. I look forward early on in my tenure as ambassador to the Philippines to learning more about what this program is doing to influence stronger leadership during times of crisis and otherwise. In closing, friends, I just want to thank the team at the UP Center for Women's and Gender Studies Foundation who have been championing this program. And I'd also like to recognize the sustained support of Her Excellency the Vice President and the Office of the Vice President's Buhay Partnership Against Poverty. Really important work. And to the Angat Bayi Fellows, thank you for your dedication, your hard work, your commitment to advancing gender equality and inclusive rights-based ethical governance, even through a global health emergency. It shows how determined you are and how important your work is. Each of us are important actors for change. By working together, we can do so much more and to continue to make progress in advancing sound and inclusive governance post-pandemic. Maraming salamat po. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup, friends and partners. Look forward to good work over the course of the coming weeks and months.